into the Radioactive Paper Cuts podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kennedy. Today we're talking the final two episodes of season 2 of Netflix's The Witcher. Joining me today is my loyal Marvel Stuff co-host.
Hey, that's me. That's Coach there. I don't really talk like this, but I just thought I would with the intro there.
Yeah, it's a good call. And then also joining me is my lovely friend
Rachel from down
You got
south.
it. Yep, your
From
name's on
down
there
south.
somewhere. Perfect. I am excited to talk this Witcher. I know you guys have been waiting for me to catch up, but I did that intentionally. So now there are no rules. Spoilers are completely allowed. And we're going to talk about the final two episodes. So let's just hop right in. Number 7 was called Volith Mir. Am I pronouncing that correctly? And that is the name of the Deathless Mother.
Yep, there it is.
I like the Deathless Mother more than the actual name. So that's what I'm going to refer to her as throughout this whole thing.
Go for it. Yeah.
Sweet. So this episode, we kind of jump right in, and it leaves off from where we picked up. And it was at the temple of whatever it was, and Ciri and Yennefer kind of used her portal to get to. Turns out it was the farmhouse of the family that took care of her for what, like a day, but
Yeah,
she felt safe with them. So it makes sense that was somewhere that she would teleport to get away from danger. And I was okay with that. Could have dealt without the family being fried to a crisp from the firefucker, but how did the scene impact you two?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't notice the first time I watched it, so it's a good thing I've watched it 3 times now. It definitely is Bones. It's Bonesaw McGraw there. I definitely am upset when I realized that family was dead. I liked him, so it's just piling on Ciri, man. I don't love it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Bonesaw McGraw did not reprise his role in the new Spider-Man movie because Macho Man Savage died a while ago. So that was a real bummer.
That's a good point.
Rachel, back to the Witcher thing, though. What did you think of it?
I mean, I think that it was relevant. I think they wrote it in more as like emphasizing how Firefucker was, really hot on Ciri's trail, and how, Ciri's like, I haven't been here for months. Like, it's been so long ago, and I was only here for a day. So I think it just shows like how just scary of a character that the fire mage is, and how little that we know, but how much he knows. So it's very ominous. I like it.
And she does say like a cool line where she's like, no one would know, and then she kind of like stops and she realizes who would know. And that's obviously really revealed in the finale, like the last thing we see actually. But yeah, it was kind of cool that she gave that little nod that she knows who is the only person that would really be tracking her like that.
Yeah, so Geralt, he essentially goes right into hot pursuit, and we don't know what he's going to do with Yennefer once he comes across her. I mean, we're kind of left to figure that out, and we do get that revealed later. But first, he has to make a stop to pick up his buddy Jaskier. Does anyone know why? Or is that just for funsies?
First off, because Jaskier's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Glad he was there.
Does it explain why? Does it? I guess because he had run into Yennefer at some point, maybe. But I don't know that
if he somehow had information. Yeah, because Yennefer did mention.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. So he knew that. Yeah, so she had said that she had run into Jaskier, so he obviously thought maybe he would have insight on where she would go. So
yeah, it was fine.
I think it was also a trust thing. I think it was also a trust thing for Geralt. Like Geralt doesn't trust many people, but even though Jaskier annoys him, I think that Geralt does trust him to a very large extent, because even though Jaskier's Jaskier, he's consistently Jaskier, right? So I think he went there just to get someone else, and what Coach said, the connection with Yennefer.
So lock me up and sock me up and
throw away the key.
Just another banger, dude.
Just
that's all.
Bangers. Yeah. This soundtrack's gonna have some good ones. That's for sure. Yeah, might as well just talk about how awesome that was. How he was just performing for the jail guy, and had some mouse backup singers and made fun of them for their pitch being off. It was all
a good dose of humor.
Dude, Dandelion's the best. I love it so much. It just makes me laugh every time. It's also good. And that might be my favorite song. I can't decide.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree. But now, obviously, Geralt frees Jaskier in their reunion. That's the first time this season those two have been in a scene together. So are we happy to see the friends slash Rachel's speculative crush situation? You see that we reunite finally.
I loved it. I think it was interesting how, like, like how Burn Butcher Burn kind of was like speculating a little bit more than just bromance, a little bit more feeling, from Yasker's part. But they're still friends at the end of the day,
Of
and I
course,
think
of
that the
course.
reunion was really great. And yeah, I think it showed how much they've both changed in their little, quip. Like they still have their little quip, but it showed that they changed.
It
So
was wonderful. And obviously the first words were like, I miss you. And then what is Geralt says, fuck it. And then they hug and it's great. And we're all so happy to see them back together again. So they go on their pursuit and they come across the stream because he really wants to take a bath. Sure.
Sweet, sweet pecs, dude. Just sweet,
He's
sweet
looking ripped.
pecs.
He's looking
that's what
good.
I meant, Josh, with,
someone
Yasker bringing
who's-
new guns to the gun show.
Okay. The whole episode and the second or the last episode, I was like, is that a line that they say within the show, or is that just her complimenting his muscles?
Dude looks
All right,
good.
now we're on the same page because I was going to ask you at the end of this podcast, like, what are we talking about here? He brought new guns. Okay, we're all good here.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's way too
he's
muscular for someone who's absolutely useless in a fight. That's for sure.
yeah,
That's
he
a very
doesn't
good
do so.
point.
He's not so great. But we love him anyway, and we do get introduced to some real warriors right in that scene. So I was glad to see the return of the dwarves. I forget the main guy's name, but he's so much fun and always
Yes.
always a joy to have around.
Mm-hmm.
So good season one callback, throws the axe, hits the shirt, all that good stuff. And I don't know. I mean, what made them decide to really join Geralt? Because I found that interesting while the scene was progressing, that they didn't even have to tell the dwarves what the mission was. They just like, okay, we're with it. We're with you till the end. That type of
Because
thing.
we're going on an adventure. That's why.
Yeah.
Just because
Better than road duty, I guess. It'd probably be a little bit more fun.
Yeah, they just. I mean, it shows in that episode of the dragon from season 1 that most of the reason they were there was for the adventure of hunting a dragon. So it would make sense that they would just, hey, wherever the Witcher's going, wherever the white wolf is going, it's probably somewhere cool. So
yeah,
no doubt about that. Yep. So they do exactly that. I swear there's a scene in between those two things, but we can just kind of stick with these characters. So they go to Yennefer and Ciri, obviously. Now, what are they doing during this time? There's the whole scene where they show up and the betrayal's kind of addressed. What was that scene all about? Where they kind of zoomed in and the world got blurry around them. What was going on there?
Oh, you mean with Ciri? You are
Ciri
jumping all
and
on my
Yennefer.
head, jumping all over, but losing my idea. Yeah, it's just vague magic. I can't tell if it was triggered by Ciri or if it was triggered by just her other. It didn't seem intentional. It seemed like it just kind of happened.
That's a good point. I definitely skipped over another thing I wanted to talk about, so thank you for calling
sure.
that out. The bridge scene. The bridge scene is what I wanted to focus on first. Yes. So during their adventure, the bridge is destroyed, and then it takes a half a day ride on the horse to get to somewhere else where they can cross, and we get to see Ciri really use her chaos magic and bleed out of her eyes, which was something. And how do we feel about her power level? What did we really expect to see out of that scene? Was it everything we were hoping for?
Well, the scene reinforced kind of what Rachel had to talk about at the end of the last episode. It was another moment for Yennefer to get to feel like her mentor, her mother, whatever it is. It's obviously mother. It's a mother metaphor. That's what it's supposed to be. So she gets to kind of feel like that. She gets to see the power that is Ciri. She gets to see how special she is, which is obviously something that would attract a person like Yennefer. So it was cool. The blood flowing eyes effect was dope, but I've never seen it before, and it's totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely fun. Rachel, you get to see your girl go crazy. So what was that like for you?
I liked it. I thought maybe like the blood out of the eyes a little over the top. Like, I don't know, Stranger Things, I feel like that was like a reference back to Elle, like when she's, bleeding out of her eyes for her force usage. I mean, I know that's a typical thing that we see with people who are like force
I mean, I
powerful. But
think the first person to
as
do it was Jessica Alba's Invisible Woman in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. So
that
let's
they,
not give
that's
Stranger
yes,
Things the
you're
credit.
right, you're right, you're right. Yes, yes. But
Deep
I mean,
cuts.
not that that's an old thing, but I was just like, I don't
It's
know.
a
But
bit
I think
older.
the emphasis just shows how series lack of control plus the other side, like she's a person who's emotionally not she's not reckless, she just doesn't also have control over her emotions as well. Like she's not
Right.
an emotionally regulated person, and she does have a lot of built up anger inside of her, so
She's
I feel like
still a
maybe the
teenager
blood was
too. I
just
mean, that's important to remember that she's
yeah.
inexperienced in life in
Hmm.
general. So now all of a sudden you're this powerful being and you have no idea what to do with yourself. It's a good focus of the show this season, and they kind of brought it around. Featured plenty.
I'm sick of her having to scream to activate her powers. I hope
You
that
don't
goes
like
away.
that?
No,
Yeah, it's a little
it,
Why
annoying.
don't you like that? I'm curious. Hang on, pause. Why don't we like this,
I
Kevin?
just, if you think about it for the future, how often she uses her powers, it will just get annoying really fast. Every time she needs to teleport, she screams.
Hmm.
Every time it's cool when she does it out of anger and it like affects the monoliths. I'm for that part, but I just think the fact that she has to scream for every power she uses will end up being annoying because she has plenty of cool powers.
I
Yeah.
appreciated she yelled "fuck" for one of them. That was pretty
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
Instead of just screaming her head off, she
I
just
did like that.
got angry. That was a better way to do it, I think.
I
Yeah, the
think
screaming thing can get old, but maybe they'll fix it
I
later.
think they're gonna phase it out because I think the symbology between her using her voice is kind of like, when we're growing up, where we equally as children and young adults are learning how to use our own voice, and it just ties into series coming of age thing. So I think that voice thing will be phased out, like when she gets better control over her powers. I think maybe it's just another analogy, like, a girl using her voice very loudly and projected kind of. I don't know. That's my
Yeah, I agree.
look
I
on
mean,
it.
I guess, yeah, I don't want to see it in the future. I'm glad that they
Yeah.
did it for the past. I hope moving
Mhm.
forward that it is not.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they didn't phase that out, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, Siri uses her fuck yelling magic to get across the river with the horses. All great news. I think this is the point where we kind of go back to the politicking of it all. There's a scene where Dara talks to the owl about no longer being a spy. That was a quick little thing.
Yeah,
Beside that, I mean, we can talk about that real quick because Dara, like, he's featured in these episodes, but that's, I guess, a pivotal moment for that character. So, what are we feeling there? He just feels
Yeah.
some
I
sense
was gonna
of
say it's not it they make it a quick pivotal moment, but I think it's like I don't know. I mean there's not much to it. It really just shows Dara being the naive person that he is. It's like you've been in this world for so long. Like you're an elf. You've been in this world for so much longer. You think that maybe the things that you've gone through would have shown you how to like be a little bit more tactical. Like you're spying. And it's just like being an elf, and then the betrayal part of it.
I
Like he
didn't
doesn't
think about
realize that
that.
he's doing that. It's not obviously he's betraying but that's the thing. It's like if you were a little bit more aware, you would know that maybe you shouldn't tell the person who's employing you to spy that you're quitting because that incites like spite and revenge from the employer's part, right?
right. Just stop being a
Yeah,
bad spy.
yeah,
Yeah. Right.
definitely part of it, and then just the fact that he I didn't even think about him being an elf, so he is older than he appears. I could forgive it as like a teenager. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as a couple hundred or thousand or however old this kid elf thing is, it would make sense that he'd be more tactful eventually.
Yeah, I don't care about the Dar stuff, but all the other political stuff that's
I
going
was
on.
just yep.
I
We're
was like,
well. We get the scene with Tisea in Vilgefortz, and turns out they're
Mm-hmm.
hooking up. So good for them. I guess I didn't really see that coming personally.
probably could have
Me
used the
either.
sex scene, but I get it. Season 2, you don't feel like you need to rely on those things as often, which is fine. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, all this stuff is getting much more interesting. The Soul Sintra situation, and now it's everybody treats the elves like shit. That's going on. To say like trying to figure out what to do with this child that Trish tells her about, and
Mm-hmm.
she's not backing down to her boyfriend there. It's all very good. Like I said, I keep saying this is what's going to make the show want to be rewatched more so. in the other stuff. I think people don't realize how much they care about that stuff.
That's an important thing about shows like this. At least me personally, rewatching a purely action show is not fun anymore because you've already seen the big action sequences. But when there's deeper cuts and more at play, then it's a lot more fun to kind of rewatch and reanalyze. So I'm glad they're going that route instead of a purely action show. It'd be a waste of this whole universe if all they did was just focus on monsters and that stuff being murdered. But speaking of murder, we'll get to the death of the baby elf. Very, very depressing for all involved. Yeah. Was that necessary? Probably, but made me sad.
In my opinion, I don't think it was necessary because you could have just abducted the baby and used it to bring the elves to their knees. Like, it's the first, elf being born in a very long time. It has, she has a lot of, relevance. So I don't think the death of the baby was absolutely necessary. Just, I'm not encouraging abduction, but I'm just saying, like, maybe the death was a little unwarranted.
Abduction is probably better than baby murder, but who am I to judge, I guess. Yeah, that made me real sad. So obviously, Francesca, which one is it? I don't remember.
I think it's Francesca.
Yep, and then her husband, the elf warrior, they don't take it lightly. And who's the first person they blame? Redania, which surprised me a little bit. Why? What was the immediate draw to think it was Redania that did this? Because I mean, it seems
Dara.
like they may have. Oh, did Dara say it was okay?
Dara says that that's who he was spying on, so they must have done it out of spite because they hate elves. Yeah, the killing of babies. First off, I am not for the killing of babies. It's hard to watch.
Well, you're currently holding one, so I'd be pretty bummed.
It was definitely so it's not my super favorite thing. It definitely is. It was hard for me to stomach, but it makes sense. The whole idea of like killing the hope of the elves to like make them retaliate is what it is. Probably does create a bigger point, but it sets up what we said, that political intrigue of like who did it. What does Redania want with this? What does Nilfgaard want with that? The evils of war, really. You would be willing to kill a child to set off a war,
Yeah.
All those kinds
of things. It works. Eventually, we're gonna.
It really does. And it
get
coincides with the Deathless Mother's fill.
Yes, her power flow. Yes. So I forget what order that happened. That's the first thing that kind of gives her a power boost, right? In this episode.
No, it's the last one. That's the final thing. That's what's released.
I thought the final thing was the murder of all the babies.
Nope.
Okay.
Next episode.
My fault then. Okay, so the other part where the witch got a power boost is where Fringilla, she's got her scenes with Cahir, and they have their whole situation where they agree that they're gonna talk to the White Flame and discuss that it was her idea because she saw this outcome coming. Smart move on their part. I mean, really, that would have been the perfect plan.
Wait, are we skipping over the scene in the dining room where she murders everyone, or is that?
No, we're not skipping over it. We are going to talk about that for
that
sure.
Scene was dope.
I have a note here. One of the coolest scenes this season. So,
brutal. That's brutal stuff.
Yeah, we're right here. We might as well just dig into it. So, I was just saying that they have that plan set out, and then all of a sudden, Cahir's other soldier guys kind of turn their backs on Fringilla because he's back. So she no longer has that upper hand over the army. So they immediately come to the conclusion that they're going to betray her. And they try and get Cahir in on it a little bit because they view him as the true leader of their the Nilfgaardian troops or whatever you want to say. And cool scene. Awesome scene. The what weed was it in the mead?
Nightshade.
First of all, it's Nightshade. It's always Nightshade in every medium of every show like this. From Batman to anything to Star Wars, it's always Nightshade thing. It's always going to be, I don't know what Nightshade is, but damn, whatever it is, it's always dangerous. Before we get to this scene, though, I do want to hit, there's another scene that preludes this one that I think really sets it up, and that's when she goes to talk to her uncle.
Yes. Yeah, that was it. It doesn't feel important, but it definitely is. So
yeah,
yes,
he does what fuckboys do, which is say the wrong dumb thing
Yep.
That's what dum-dums do. And he's just like,
Well, he's like, yeah, at least you know your place. It's like, oh, good. Tell a woman to know her place. Great idea.
yeah,
That
you know your
always
place
works.
is
Yeah.
to do nothing. Oh, yeah, good job, buddy. Yeah, fucking
Stupid
clown.
idiot.
I don't know what your opinion is on it, but I was wondering if because Francesca had said that thing to Fringilla beforehand was, we are friends, but blood comes first. That's the one thing that can't be broken. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily true. That has some fallacy to that statement. But I really do wonder if Fringilla was going to see her uncle to test that theory. Like if she was
Yeah, I
still in
think
her
so.
like manipulative state, or if she really was having like a vulnerable moment to go back to the her only blood and
Yeah, I think
see him.
I think it's the latter for sure. I
The
think she for
manipulative.
sure. No, I think it was that I think she was scared. I think she like
Okay.
went there as like as a meek woman who was like, oh, I need help. You're my uncle. You would still help me. But then when he called her out, she's like, all right, well, enough of that nonsense. Then I don't actually need your help. You can go fuck yourself. That's
Power
kind of what
moves
it felt
only.
like to me.
Yeah.
Felt like she had
Yeah.
went there with not sure.
I think she fell backed into a corner and she's like, hey, if I go to this uncle, that's a way out. And then he did not respond the way she wanted him to.
Mhm.
So she decides to
Find her
completely
own way
ignore
out.
any advice. Yes, exactly.
Which is, I think, better. Yeah, that she almost went to someone else for help and then decided to do it herself.
She's
Yes.
too dope.
And she did do it herself pretty damn
Yes.
well. It was a fantastic scene.
Legendary.
I don't even know how they did that with the acting. I mean, I'm sure it was a combination between like CGI and their own
For sure.
acting. Like total mannequin challenge is epic.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was so dark.
Oh my god, can you
I
imagine?
can't even handle it,
I
no.
can't even imagine being one of those guys stuck in the same place, but they can still see and hear, and their eyes are open, and they literally can't do anything about it. And it's like they just watch a knife go through their eyeball. Oh my god, I never
Right.
thought I'd see that in like a movie. Just a knife just going through an open eye. The guy doing nothing about it. No screams of pain, just straight to the dome.
Yes.
And she doesn't stop there, obviously.
Nope.
She does at least 4 more legendary kills on the people that can't move. So,
but then she does what makes it interesting. Is that it immediately goes to like this is a badass scene, but then there's like the political intrigue to end the scene where it's like, well, now I need you to like lie for me and say this was. So like it keeps the intrigue alive even after doing something dope. And that's when you just know a show is so well done and so well written. So shit like that can go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the power of that scene. Awesome to watch. Oh my god, so cool. Not as cool as Geralt throwing a guy in the air and having him fall on a sword, but it was
Yeah.
up there for as far
That
as
takes
cool
top.
things this
Yep.
season.
Badass.
Maybe someday we'll do a top 10 Witcher moment episode, but
Yeah.
for right now,
Yeah.
those were some legendary kills, and I enjoyed it. Leaving Kahira alive, smart move on her part. She's being tactful, which is always appreciated. And that her rage gives the witch that's the power booster, or at least one of the power boosts. How many does she get exactly? Is it 2 or 3? It's 2, right?
It feels like it's this. It's
Consistently
it's 2,
getting
and then
some.
it's like sort of 3 from Siri just showing up.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. I think that because she got something from Yennefer because she brought Ciri to the door.
Right.
I guess
was the
door was the
monolith.
broken monolith. Yeah, and I liked how it wasn't super obvious about that. I appreciated it.
There's not a lot of other black objects around. It's fine.
It was fine. I mean, like,
I'll tell you what I do love about this scene. And number one is when it first shows Yennefer and Ciri riding up behind that tree and like going down that winding path. I feel confident, and I almost booted up The Witcher today, and I forgot to do it. I feel confident that is an exact shot of an exact path that you go up in one of the games, right outside of Redania, I believe.
I can see it.
I feel confident. I was like, this looks exactly the same. I love that. The tree and the winding path. So I was pretty pumped about it. But also, that, like you said, the weird shading dark thing. I don't know what's going on there, but it sure was interesting way to have Yennefer get called out on her shit.
Yes, no doubt. And is it the end of this episode or the beginning of the next episode? Because I watched them back to back where Geralt does show up. And
the end of this one.
And
okay. So the Sintra soldiers notice there's someone out by the monolith or whatever, or somebody called it in, whatever it is. they start rolling
there's
up
a
with the
giant
horses.
crack in the earth that
Yeah,
Oh, the
Siri
second.
basically sends off the alert. Yeah.
That would be that happens before they. Okay, well, it doesn't actually
she
matter
like
the
sends
order
a
of
crack
events.
all the way through the
I
wall
do remember that
system.
happening, but I thought the soldiers had come earlier. But it does.
I know, and they got there super fast. Like they seemed so far away, and they got there super
Yeah, it's like they
fast.
seemed like they
So
were halfway there already.
yes,
Whatever
I
it
mean
was,
maybe they had troops stationed nearby. Who
I guess the
knows?
logistics didn't make a lot of sense, so maybe that's why I'm
Right.
confused by it. But
The,
they
the
get
better
here
logistics is
pretty
that
quick.
Geralt shows up right in time.
Yeah,
That
love
yes.
that. That's
Mhm.
classic stuff right there. But I love how Yennefer tried to defend Ciri with a stick and no magic, and like
Yes.
further proving that she is actually invested in Ciri and not trying to just get her.
And
chaos.
Ciri fought back on her own, showed a little
Yes,
bit of her.
I was
Mhm.
gonna
training.
note that as well. It was really cool.
Mhm.
I think, did she kill his soldier? Or she at least got him off, got two of them off
She
of it,
got
off
him.
of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know she stabbed one and like
Mhm.
sliced him. I don't know if he died or not, but it doesn't actually matter. They all end up dying anyway. So yeah, we get enter the hero, right?
Yeah, Geralt shows up being a badass. Geralt
Comes up with a
does.
sick decapitation.
But
Always love
also
those.
all the whole crew of men there was also dope. Just watching those guys
Yeah.
like how do they kill people is just super funny to watch because it doesn't
Yeah.
quite
the
logistically make
dwarves,
sense,
yeah.
but it's so good.
It was great. It was great to see Geralt come in. I kind of thought like I wasn't sure because it's obviously like Geralt's gonna show up, but I wasn't sure if he was gonna like come in swinging and be like the angry dad trope. Like you were gonna see like feisty Geralt from like season one. But it was interesting that they kept the same kind of like energy. Like he was just cool, and collected. He was just like it wasn't like don't fuck with my kid. It was just he did what he always does. I just was surprised that he was calm. Like I thought he'd be a
Yeah,
bit more
could have been a bit more
angry,
rageful, I
like
suppose.
that he sees people attacking his kid, but he wasn't. So I don't know. That was interesting
He
to me.
definitely wasn't pumped about it, and he proved that by killing a bunch
Mhm.
of people.
Mhm.
But you are correct; he could have been bursting at the seams. I like how he did manage to hold back on Yennefer because he doesn't know the exact situation, what's going on, but he feels as though she betrayed both him
Yeah.
and Ciri.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and
he
she did.
knows. Yeah, he knows that she's in line with the deathless mother because of what
Mhm.
Yaskir said at the lake.
The hut, turn your back to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
No,
that was that hurt my heart definitely because I really do love Geralt and Yennefer, but that just I mean they just did that scene so well. I mean Henry Cavill is fantastic, but yeah, that was definitely hard to watch the betrayal because it
She
just
tries.
shows Yennefer
I mean,
still
she
has
didn't
she's got a
fully
ways to
go
go.
through with it. Yeah, I mean, character development. I'm sure
Mhm.
she'll
Yeah.
be a more maternal character later, and she does have a pretty solid defense. I mean, at first, she didn't know Siri was his child
Yeah.
surprise. She just thought Siri was a random girl, and I mean, that in itself is pretty messed up to bring some
Yeah. I
random
Yeah.
mean,
person you
yeah.
don't know. But it got worse
It
when she
was
did find out.
exactly, and then but just like Rachel said, the acting by Henry Cavill when he's like got the sword to her throat and he just is like, just say it, and or when the dwarf asks him, the girl, yours, and he like just stares Yennefer down. He goes,
He's like,
mine.
mine. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Like, oh,
that was
real.
fantastic. Loved it.
And it shows like I was surprised that he is like so like just Yennefer. I get like his relationship with Yennefer, but like just was so second to his relationship with Ciri that I was a little surprised by it.
Mhm.
That he was that invested.
Yeah,
But then,
I wasn't taken aback by it. I understood it at the very least. The interesting move, I don't know. I found it interesting that I mean, I guess further showing his trust in Ciri, he sends her and Yaskir back to Kaer Morhen, and he sticks back with Yennefer to kind of have their discussions or whatever.
Mhm.
to go
Was
see
that weird to you
kill
guys?
monster.
I feel like
No, because Ciri couldn't go with him to go kill the
to
witch.
go kill the witch. Yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. I guess they have to do something with their time, and they do go back to Kaer Morhen. She knows the way, and of course, we have the scene at that point where Yennefer says the words, gets brought to the woods, I guess, because they're not in the cabin yet, and then they realize that the witch is already released, or the deathless mother. So, what
Mhm.
are we thinking about that, Rachel? All that good stuff.
I mean, I think it really again emphasized the Baba Yaga mythology, which was cool to see. I mean, I don't really know why they needed to be transported there. Maybe it's just because she said the words,
I think they
that's
wanted to
what.
see if he could just kill her within that universe, but it's also like if you could have
Mhm.
done that
Yeah.
the whole time, then why didn't the old Witchers do it? I don't,
Yeah, I think it
Well,
was
Witcher's
mainly
on
just put there
Geralt.
for
That's why.
cinematic. Yeah, but maybe it was because Volithmir wanted, maybe she used her like last bit of power to transport them there to separate them from Siri, like truly separate, like get some distance so that she could, do what she does right at the closing scene, which is embody
yeah, might as well
Siri.
talk about it. Go for it. Yeah, she takes over
Yeah.
Siri's body.
Hmm.
Very body swap, ghost possession move,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But
Terrible. Scary.
yeah,
It's dope.
I didn't know that this Deathless Mother could possess people. So I guess it was it was a little bit of a trope because it's like, okay, we're gonna have the most powerful thing, and then you got to find out a way to defeat it without actually taking out the vessel. But all good there. Episode 7, great stuff. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Yes.
Episode 8, obviously better because it's the finale, and I enjoyed it
Mm,
quite a lot. I liked
I'm
the last
not.
episode
I
more.
just think episode 7 is so good. I think there's so many good things about it. I thought everything Yaskier was top notch, A+. I thought all the Ciri Yennefer stuff was very good. I thought the meeting of the dwarves was awesome. So I don't know. I kind of
Maybe I just like conclusions.
yeah. I don't know. I felt like
I
episode
like the
7 was
last
fire.
episode. I think that they could have broken it into actually, like, they could have given us 10
They
episodes.
could have
That's my
they
argument. Like,
They
they
could
could
have
have
they
given
given
us
could
us
have
10
more.
gone
episodes.
many more episodes
Yeah, they
for
could have
sure.
really kind of, spread a couple of that stuff apart. Like, because it was
What?
great to get, a lot of the stuff that we
Whose
did, but it
idea?
just felt condensed. So,
Whose idea is it to do it as 8 episodes? It's like there's so many other numbers. You could choose a bigger number. It's not like there's a rule.
It just makes it. It's
right,
easier
right.
to get the right actors. It's easier to. Everything's easier when it's less. More money per episode.
Whatever.
You know.
I'm still annoyed.
I mean, obviously, I am too.
Maybe it's still something to do within the Netflix contract.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll be able to extend the budget to do 10 episodes for next season.
Well, it just seems to be. It seems to be the way of these shows, right? Game of Thrones actually just got like less episodes.
Yeah.
As it went on, because they just put more money per episode.
Well,
Just,
yeah, the actors
hard to
get
make
more
money left.
expensive too. That one was had more longevity,
Oh,
so
right,
it made
right.
sense to start making those ones a little shorter. But I guess maybe they're just trying to predict how
I
well this
like to
show is
think
going
The
to go.
Witcher is going to be like at least 5 seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think in
agree.
the contract wasn't it like 6 seasons
Yeah.
or
So
something like that? Like confirmed.
I
Yeah,
feel
I'm not
confident
sure,
that
but
we do know that there's at least multiple seasons left. I do know that. So
Yeah.
I feel confident that this is the right path. Even if I have to wait.
This is the way.
This is
Yes.
the way.
this is the way.
Yes, all the Mando pajamas. Congrats, Els. Anyway, we're going into the final episode, which was bittersweet because I was like, don't want it to end, but I do have to
Mhm.
watch it. And obviously, the Deathless Mother took over Siri, and really, the intro to this episode is her just showing up, murking witchers. Is that how this whole
think
thing
the
kind of goes down?
intro is Geralt riding in it, right? Or no? I don't remember. Which one
It
I don't
like
remember the order.
crisscrosses. It crisscrosses. Yeah, like series kind of often people being creepy,
while they're
within
showing up.
Kaer when they're
God,
sleeping.
Cameron
Yeah.
looks so good.
That was
Mhm.
something, man. How she was just straight taking these dudes by surprise. How many did she end up killing before she got caught? It was like 3 or 4, wasn't it?
2. I think it only shows a kill of 2.
They only showed 2, but then they mentioned a
Then
third
they
one that was
named
also
off, yeah,
dead.
like 3 or
Oh.
4, right? Something like
Yeah.
that. Significant.
A lot of dead witchers when there's not very many left. So that
Mhm.
major bummer. None of the important witchers, of course, as you guys probably noticed, and none of the ones we care about, but the idea of witchers being eliminated is important in itself.
Mhm.
Now, how do we think Siri fits this this role? I mean, the actress did a good job, I'd say. She was good at playing both
Yeah.
Siri and the Deathless Mother.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. It made me upset to see Siri not have control of her own body, like Volithmir really doing something that's Siri herself would never want to do, and something that Siri's obviously been fighting, this entire season. Like she's been talking about it more and more. Like, I hate that I've hurt people, I don't like being destructive. I want to learn how to control myself. And then you have Volodymyr, who embodies her, and it does, hurts the people that she is starting to consider family. So,
you know what? It's a little better because it doesn't seem like it's that thing where like, oh, I could see myself doing it, but I couldn't control it. That's the shit that creeps me out and I hate. This felt like at least Siri was like
Siri was completely
blissful to what's
clueless to
happening,
what.
her body's
Yeah,
doing.
good
So
point.
that makes it a little bit less sucky.
right, because she was in the dream state.
She was in
She was in
dream
that dream
state.
state.
Yes. So we can talk about that. I guess essentially what happens is Geralt shows up with the Eskir and with Yennefer's obviously also with Geralt because Eskir came with Ciri. Kind of. Wait, that part was weird to me.
The Eskir was there.
Well, I know he went there with Ciri,
Yes.
but he was like asleep. Was he knocked out? Like
She apparently didn't just kill people right when she got there. She like waited for people to go to bed.
Yeah.
Yes. That was something I was a little thrown off by because it wasn't thoroughly focused on. It didn't, I guess it didn't need to, but it just the fact that the last episode ended with her riding off with the Eskir, and then the next episode starts with her not being around the Eskir. Because while she was on this like killing spree, I was like, so where's the Eskir here? Like what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, glad he's not dead. So that's obviously a benefit to doing it that way. So Geralt and Yennefer show up. Geralt says he's going to do it alone as opposed to them trying to save Ciri. And Yennefer kind of goes off and tries to make a potion because she doesn't have powers. All good things. The Witchers go on a hunt for Ciri, even though she wasn't really hiding. What was the deal with that?
They didn't know she wasn't hiding. I mean, she did like slice his face and run away. So, and they wanted revenge because she had just killed a bunch of them. But Geralt gives a speech to try to convince him not to. It's a good setup for sure. The idea of trying to stop the Witchers from murking her.
Yep. Well, I guess now is as good a time of any is just to talk about the dream sequence / memory bank, whatever you want to call it, that Ciri's kind of in. And I did enjoy how it showed this scene, and the first person she's awoken to is Mousak, of course, her mentor in many different ways. And I was glad to see all these actors and actresses, return for their roles. I love that.
Yes. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing Calanthe and Mousak being back. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, they're great actors, so it was nice.
Yep, and Mousak, it was interesting because the dream sequence, it's very classic TV movie thing where they try and keep you within the dream realm, and whenever you think there's a problem, they introduce some new thing within the dream that keeps your focus drawn elsewhere. But it was kind of weird that Mousak was just repeatedly acknowledging how weird she was being while getting ready to go to was it the coronation dinner, or was it just another kind of?
I think it was supposed to just be another ball.
Yeah.
Which she normally hated, but this time she was gonna love it. Didn't know how good she had it.
Yeah.
So we get to see Calanthe again, like Rachel said. Big moves only.
I think it was interesting. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just think it was interesting, like how Calanthe's character, like Mousak, was being like weird, slightly patronizing, and Ciri's dream stuff didn't really, like catch on to that. But I thought it was interesting how Calanthe's character, like, kind of demonstrated how she was like, "You're acting strange," like this is like Calanthe's dream state seemed to be the only one out of the whole realm to be like, this is odd. I don't know, maybe that was just my interpretation, but
I thought that too while I was watching it. I was like, how weird is it that within this dream sequence where she's part of the dream sequence, she's skeptical of how Ciri's acting?
Yeah, like how Ciri's been connected like through this generational magic like genealogy thing. Like maybe some of like kind of like
it might have been why they did the scene with Triss in the previous episode.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
yeah, like
so
maybe there's something still alive. Like maybe there's something still a little bit alive, like not on like the physical plane, but within the magical plane or something. Like maybe the essence of Calanthe is still alive, like your grandmother watching over you, kind of thing. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
I could see it. Yeah. I felt the same thing though while I was watching it. I was like, how weird is it? But whatever, good stuff. She agrees to dance with some ginger boy. Good for that ginger boy. I don't remember his name. Some prince of some sort. Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Yep. So there's the dance sequence, and obviously, while this is all going on, the fight between Geralt and the Witchers and Ciri and
The best.
breaking the
And then the
tree.
basilisks. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to touch on that
Wait.
in a
Yes.
second. We got to talk about the
Yes.
breaking of the
Sorry.
tree.
Yeah.
Turns out it's a monolith. That I didn't see that coming.
So at the beginning of this episode, you guys always watch like the little symbol that gets put together, the little metal. At the beginning of the episode, and the last episode, it was the 3 spheres colliding together, and then they made the tree.
That was great. That was so good.
I very obviously I was like, oh, nice. My wife caught it as well when she.
The reveal was cool.
Yeah,
there's a monolith.
I just thought that was a cool, like little, like way to foreshadow it in such a unique way.
Foreshadow it. Yeah, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I mean, I obviously noticed it made a tree, but I was like, I don't know why that would be important. Whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the tree symbology, like, because we usually consider it like the tree of life, but it's like all of a sudden this Witcher tree was literally the tree of death, like not just the one that they hung like the, medallions on, but literally like it brought, the monolith to life and, Ciri or Volithmir, killing spree. So.
Yep, tree splits in half. All the Witcher medallions fall to the ground. No good. No one likes that except the Deathless Mother, of course. And this kind of brings the opportunity where she gets to scream, breaks the monolith, makes her portal, and brings in the basilisks.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, cool, freaking monster. That monster's freaking hype. Both of them. I mean, the bigger one's obviously cooler, but the 2 or 3 that come here to start with.
Yeah, I thought that these basilisks were awesome because they were a lot more, I'm not going to say accurate, but like in the typical, like, mythological trope basilisk, because Harry Potter had a basilisk.
Yeah, I thought that too.
It was a serpent, but it didn't have the arms. And so I was like, I'm glad that they included the arms because that's something that, from what I've read, like basilisks always have
it was
arms.
like a velociraptor bird snake thing. I was like, what is going on with their definition of basilisks? But I guess even the Witchers say as they come through, like, what the fuck kind of basilisk is this? So great. More stuff being embraced with the I don't know if I want to, not the multiverse, but the other realms. I'm glad we kind of get to explore that a little bit more here.
I think it's so awesome to see that being brought to life, like not just being talked about, but finally, like seriously, Carol's like, where is this coming from? You can tell, like, even though he's fighting, like the gears in his head are turning because he's so smart. Like he's trying to figure out as he's literally fighting them. So.
Yeah, I didn't care for a bunch of Witchers getting friggin' murked by these basilisks.
I actually think only one dies.
I think one got its face ripped off. That's for sure.
I think that's the only one.
That's the only one that died?
I believe
so. Okay,
so
the other ones just got tuned up. Is that kind of what I'm under? Okay. Fair enough. So. I thought there was more deaths there, and I was bummed because it just didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I guess that.
It was good for Vesemir to like have that like pull of like sticking up for his Witchers. That's still his first concern. Well, and it almost cost him.
Yes, it did. So Geralt, after he figures out the situation, he has Vesemir and an additional Witcher, which that one's important. I don't remember his name, but they make the shield around Ciri and Geralt, and they have their kind of fight, I suppose, sword fight battle thing where Geralt's trying not to hurt the vessel. Overall, how do we feel about this whole fight scene? Probably one of the cooler ones in the show, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The fighting the basilisks were cool. Garrett's little one-on-one duel was cool. It was quick, good swordsmanship. Nothing that Yennefer did seemed like really matter. Like the stone was just symbolic at the end or something. Jaskier was weird. It definitely dragged on longer than it need to, but that's okay. I didn't love it. I just thought it dragged on a lot longer than it needed to. Like, we get it. Like, you have to choose between different.
That had a little bit to do with how long they wanted the ball scene to be, I guess. I don't know. They needed it to make sense where she was stuck within this trance long enough. I guess they could have avoided starting the fight or something like that for a little bit longer.
Or just make the ball scene. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just felt like it got to a point where we were like, hey, I get it. Like,
these guys are fighting the basilisks. These guys are
to decide between reality and this fake world. It's a sucky decision.
Yep.
Just make the decision already.
But important to note, while Geralt's voice starts to break through the illusion within the dream sequence, and that's when Ciri's parents are reintroduced, and good to see them, right?
Yeah, they are. A good bit of foreshadowing as well.
I know, no doubt about that.
Mhm.
You guys played the game, so I imagine you knew who the White Flame was this whole time, but I sure didn't. So I got a
Yeah.
real reveal where I was like, this is actually
Yeah, how was
surprising.
that for you, Josh?
Did you,
I
yeah,
was
did
like,
you did you not get it until the very end, or did you get it at the ball scene?
Well, I had no idea he was the White Flame. There was no reason for me to think he was. I mean, it's like, as far as I was concerned, both the parents were dead. I was like,
there's
okay.
a couple of interesting things in the ball scene if you paid attention.
Mhm.
He doesn't fade to dust like everyone else does, which I thought was interesting.
I thought that was more of like those are the last things that were within the dream sequence, I guess.
No, I think he's just the only one that's still alive.
Yeah, so he can't fade. So Volithmir can't actually dictate that in her dream because he's not dead.
Yeah, and I thought
yeah,
and she even like kind of notices. You can see it in like Ciri's eyes a little bit when like he's like saying, "This is where she belongs" and stuff. Like, and that's why I say back to the beginning when they were at that hut. It's like she knew who was looking for her, and so like in this moment, she knew like she was choosing. She knows that she will eventually have to choose to like betray her dad in real life as well.
Straight up gonna have to rewatch this episode because I shouldn't have done it while I was doing dishes. I think that was the real problem here. I was multitasking while watching the finale. So little things like who actually breaks into dust, I guess I just didn't notice while I was watching. But good foreshadowing then for sure. So the mom is dead. That's an important note. I want to know the backstory there. Like this seems like, I don't know, a Frozen situation. Aren't Frozen's parents? They're like on a boat or something and they're just gone forever. I want to know all about that stuff.
Yeah, if you watch season 1, you'll notice there's like little hints of what's happening. When he goes down to like that coal mine, then like season 1 before he like helps the weird guy with the cultist and his weird incest daughter thing to like talk to the coal miners. Mm-hmm. That scene, they hint at like the usurpers in charge, and then like another scene 2 episodes later, they talk about how like the usurper has been taken away. That's the story of what's happening.
So the usurper and Emperor Mir, the White Flame, are not the same.
Right.
It's
Emperor
so
Mir took down the usurper.
So when Calanthe is doing like the scene, well, is it actually, I don't know, Coach, correct me on this if I'm wrong, but like in the like betrothal like ball scene with Calanthe's daughter, when the Nilfgaard king like steps up to say his first bit, is he the true king and then it's the usurper, or is he the usurper?
So the weird like kid who shows up and is like, I'm the line of Nilfgaard or whatever. Yeah. That's I think they're implying that he is the usurper because she says something about like, oh yeah, you'll be there just long enough to get like your head cut off, which ends up being the case.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then we obviously see Amir show up at the end as the hedgehog later on. But
okay.
Some money moves here. I love it. I love how there's all this stuff interwoven throughout both seasons and they keep making callbacks. And I love having you guys on this to help me analyze it. So here we go. Awesome, fun stuff. And the fight sequence only gets worse. So obviously the ball scene, the parents, and then the big basilisks. God Lord, I'm never going to be able to say it.
The big basilisk gets put down in a pretty sweet way again. He uses the fire to blind.
I did love that Geralt.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Big fan of Geralt doing all the cool stuff.
Sweet shoulder check over the edge, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty dope. I was about it.
Always about it.
Again, he does the whole like, oh, Witchers, it's our hate that feeds them. It's great. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool that the Witchers are on your side, but I feel like, the Yennefer part was cool though.
Yeah, so essentially what breaks Ciri out of this ultimately is Geralt and the other Witchers and Yennefer all kind of calling her family to them, and that kind of helps her dissociate from the dream and just kind of rejoin reality, which I thought was a pretty touching moment.
And Yennefer does it doesn't happen until Yennefer like accepts the thing as the vassal, because it sounds like even as they're calling her, Ciri was still like, I don't want to leave. So
I do remember that.
It felt like Ciri was choosing to stay in the fake reality until Yennefer
Yeah, a little
sacrifice
bit. I got.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, because she did kind of say that she's not going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's probably how it was written specifically because she had to be the vessel. Now, why did her becoming the vessel send them to another realm
It did.
exactly?
Siri sent them to another realm. Like,
Okay.
after Yennefer has like been taken over by the Deathless
She
Mother,
holds them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Geralt suggested to Siri that like, hey, send her back home, just because he thought that might be a way to save Yennefer. Which, good on
Turns out it
Geralt.
was.
Still wants to save Yennefer.
And that's when it was like, where are we? And Siri's like, I saw this in my vision.
My dream vision thing. Yep,
Mhm.
there we are. So I'm sure you guys are super pumped, but I don't know much about them. We get introduced to the Wild Hunt.
Oh, the Wild Hunt is
Yeah.
sweet. They look dope.
It was great. It was awesome. And their voices, yeah, that was
Ah.
extra creepy and awesome.
I found it interesting that like the Deathless Mother had become one of them. Like she had like formed them.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you didn't see like her like thing growing down.
Her
I saw her thing
embers.
come down, but I didn't know she became one of the Wild Hunt. Was not aware of that.
Which I think is interesting because that's not necessarily what they are in the game. In the game, they're sort of a little different. So I'm curious to see how they're going to go with it. But yeah, this idea that like they're from another sphere and they think Ciri belongs with them to help them hunt. It's dope.
Yeah, so dope stuff. Obviously, Yennefer gets her body back, and then they do their big old teleportation back to reality. Good things. How exactly did we look at the conclusion for our main characters in this season?
Yeah, it sets them up the way I want them to be set up. Yennefer's going to have to teach her magic. Yennefer has her magic back, which is cool, finally, because she found what she was really missing wasn't chaos. It was motherhood. It was being a mama for her baby. Sorry, this is my baby. But yeah, it was cool. Yennefer found what she really needed, which was love for Ciri. So she got her powers back. They're all where they need to be. They're going to be out on the run, which is always where the more interesting stories get to happen. So we know next season they'll get to have weird side adventures and.
Yeah, Geralt says he doesn't forgive her. That was interesting. So that was fully acknowledged.
I thought the
How long is that
dialogue
going to
here
last though? What? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I thought the dialogue there was fantastic because on the talking about like love and relationships, like he said something, I'm gonna misquote it, but obviously referencing his last wish, but again with the whole destiny thing, like destiny brought us together, and
we needed something more.
But we need something more, which is very much like in real life, like you need more than just love to make any relationship work, like friends, intimate relationships, marriage, you need more than love to make it work. And that makes me excited because I'm like, come on, Yennefer, come on, Geralt, let's go. Like put in just you can do this. You both are like awkwardly emotionally stunted people, but let's go.
I like how they embraced it though. Like you shouldn't try and fight Destiny too. That was a good note.
For all of our audience listening, as much as it works for Geralt and Yennefer to have a child to bring their relationship together, if your relationship is all rocky, I do not suggest a child to make it better. Just for the record, you are not Geralt. You do not have magic like Yennefer, so don't.
Also, Ciri is a pretty independent teenager. Completely dependent child might not be the best idea.
Yes, just the lesson is what it is. It's not quite the same for us lame people.
Yep. So that's that's where our main characters are left. So why don't we just go to the final bit here, which was so depressing. Well, two final bits, I suppose. Francesca.
Oh my god, and so good. First off, Francesca killing babies.
That was.
I cried. Honestly, I cried. I was like, she's not gonna do it.
A lot.
She's not gonna do it, and then she did it. Brutal.
I'm not gonna lie though, where it went from a bunch of crying to just silence. I was like, oh,
that's what got me.
That was such a cool way to do it.
Because I thought she was just gonna like torture. I thought she was just gonna like torture the babies, but she went and like. And then the mom
Redanians who didn't actually kill her baby. It's like you just killed a bunch of innocent babies. But I mean, they're innocent babies. They're also elves, and they've been killing elves for a long time. So I guess you can't really call the Redanians innocent. But no, I did not predict her actually killing a giant group of babies. That was depressing and made me like her less.
It sure did. What's his face? Estrid.
Eastrid,
Is
yes,
that his
Eastrid.
name? Yeah, him maintaining a part of this story, which I just don't care about him. He's definitely going to be
He's
like
cool
that
for 2
character.
episodes, I
He's
think.
going to be that character of the show where you're just like, God, he stuck around for all 6 seasons. They never killed him off, and I didn't like him at any point. I feel like that's what he's going to be 6 seasons from now. But yeah, him showing up and being like, she's the weapon, whatever they call it. I don't speak Elven, but was an okay scene in the woods. Like, he meets him out in the woods and he tells him,
Yep.
Yeah, Hinakir.
Henakir.
She's Hinakir, which I had to look that up.
Elven blood, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Elven
It's like it's the actual like I think it's the genetic sequencing something, but I'm like, this is so confusing.
It's fine.
Well, he said what he had to say to not get murdered, so
Right.
he's essentially on an uneven alliance with the elves, I guess.
Well,
at the
I
end
mean,
of this,
he went there to tell them.
right?
Like, he tracked them down to find them. He wants to help
Yes.
the elves. I just don't care. I care about the elves. I don't care about him helping the elves. I think it's how I
That's
would
fair.
express it.
That's fair.
Yeah, whatever. They're a bunch of baby murderers. No, I'm just kidding. I can understand why the elves are very upset. So
Yeah.
that wraps up that storyline a little bit. We never saw Fringilla again, correct? The end of her story
Yeah,
was
we do right at the very end when
what did you do at the very end?
the courtroom.
Remember? Yeah.
Oh,
when they
she's
were
okay.
welcoming.
She's there for the reveal, obviously. Oh my lord! In my head it was just Kahir there
No, but you're right. We didn't see her at any other point, particularly
from the murders.
Yeah. After that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, kisses.
Yeah, he's got a baby in his arms. He's not just kissing the microphone.
Oh yeah,
so
sorry.
everyone
Here's
else-
about baby owls. She's just dancing around.
Yep. Okay. So thank you. The final reveal. Kahir and Fringilla go in, and they're agreed in their plan to go ahead and say that they were the ones that killed the elf baby, which not something I would want to take credit for, but
it makes them seem like they're home free. Like they're gonna because clearly there's trepidation with them and their relationship with Amir. Like there is fear. There's fear. Clearly, it's not just like respect. I mean, they respect him, but they fear him, which
it's so good. The episode sets it up so well. Really, the whole latter half of this season sets it up so well that they're doing all this political maneuvering and conniving to try to like get on the right side of the white flame, and then it's just revealed that suck a butt. He's one step ahead of
you.
He's 3 steps ahead of everybody. Like
he put the hit out, and yes. He's gonna Queen Cersei this shit. And he's gonna be the politic up. So I appreciated it. The reveal was a lot more mind blowing for someone like me and other Netflix watchers. I'm sure everyone else was just like, okay, cool. We already knew that the White Flame was the father.
It was cool the way they did it, and yeah, the fact that he's the father is dope. There's a scene we've been missed though, and that was the round table of the other families of the different countries or something. Essentially, they put a hit out on Ciri.
Oh, Tisea.
Yeah,
Tisea with the Northern Kings. With the Northern Kings. Yep.
The Wizard Order.
Like all the Northern Kings. Like that's the shit that's gonna be dope. Is like
put the hit out on Ciri. That's yes.
I was a little. I mean, I know that it had to happen, but like I was honestly a little upset with Tisea because I'm like, from your conversation with Triss and probably whatever other sources that she has, like she knew that Geralt's with Ciri, which I know she doesn't really care about Geralt, but she knows that Yennefer also has something to do with Ciri because Triss mention something? Yeah, and it's like Tisea's wanted to herald Yennefer at the beginning of the season, and yet now she's like, well, if she's collateral damage, then at least it'll get Ciri killed. Like if Ciri's captured, killed, whatever, then if Yennefer's collateral, like I don't know. That was very open-ended.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. But the show wants us to remember that, like, even though it just seems like people are going for Ciri, but the show wants us to remember that there's a giant war happening at any given time, and like there's a lot at stake between like if Nilfgaard attacks here or attacks there, who has control of Sintra is a big deal. So it's all very interesting, and the show wants us to know that there is definitely big stakes happening along with small stakes, which I think is like the great appeal of The Witcher.
Thank you for catching that because I did not touch on Tisea much since the previous episode. So yeah, Tisea and Vilgefortz got their whole other thing going on. Stregoborn, he's involved, but like, so it's official. Vilgefortz and Tisea are they're the new heads of the Wizard
Right, the new
Council
heads of
or
Guardian.
whatever.
Yep.
Good stuff. Glad it was established that way. Awesome point to hit on there. And that's kind of the end of where we're left off. We can talk about the trailer in a second, but you guys, I assume you guys stuck around for the post-credit trailer.
Oh, definitely.
Thing. So we'll talk about that in a second. But overall, how did we feel about the season? What are we excited for in the future? All that good stuff. I want to hear from the both of you.
Tens across the board.
Yeah.
I've already watched it literally all the way through 2.5 times. It's so
Crazy.
good. It made me
Crazy,
go back.
man.
It's just one of my favorite shows ever. It does so good. Like, I know we really talked about it in the first episode. We were excited about Kaer Morhen and we were excited about this and that. And as you talk about it more, you forget to mention how freaking dope all of the world building is.
Yes.
All of that stuff is just absolutely A+. They just nail it. It's so good. All the monsters look cool. All the political intrigue is good. The show is excellent. The Wild Hunt is going to be. You guys are going to love the Wild Hunt in the future.
I like the way
it's going to be dope. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, Coach. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. The writing, it's definitely like I've rewatched season 1 a lot. Like, I love it. I'm like, I really, really, really like the cinematics and of course the music and everything. But season 2 is a very distinct break from season 1, which I like that they took the route that they did. You know, cinematically, like even when you look at like the tonality of the cinematography, it's just different. There's more CGI, but more, you know, monsters, more action, and it's exciting where they took season 2 and where they've left us off. I think they did a fantastic job, start to finish. You know, they brought us full circle, and they're getting us set up for a really great next season, I think.
I am so excited. That is a fact right there. I'm just this show continues to impress me. There's nothing I don't like about it. Henry Cavill, obviously, still the perfect casting. It doesn't get any better than this. And I am gonna be surprised. Game of Thrones is getting a prequel series here next year, which likely I'm gonna do a review on this here podcast. But I doubt it's gonna live up to The Witcher. I think that's just it's gonna be tough sledding for those guys, I would say. And I guess now is as good a time as any. We can talk about the Blood Origins, The Witcher, this spin-off series that's going to be coming later this year, I believe. Is that what it was? Late 2022?
I think so.
All right. Me and Baby are going to get off, but we're very excited for all the future of The Witcher. You guys should all watch it. You should make sure to go back and watch the prequel that's already been out. Rewatch the seasons so you know what's up. But this baby's starting to get fussy, so I can't hang around too much. And she says hi, everybody.
Bye, Els.
Hello.
Fabio, appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on here. Watch the Marvel Stuff podcast.
See you, Coach. But let's talk about this new reboot thing. What's your opinion? Is The Witcher well established enough to be getting a spinoff show? That's one thing that I thought was kind of odd by the trailer. Obviously, it's a big show, but is the universe big enough with an audience established enough to get a whole nother series?
I mean, I believe so, but I think, I mean, what's your opinion? Like, do you think a spinoff is different from an anthology movie, or is that just like colloquial? Like, spinoff is just colloquial for anthology?
Yeah, I mean, you call it a spinoff just because it comes off of The Witcher, but yeah, it's a prequel. It's a very far prequel to the Witcher universe. So you could call it a spinoff, prequel, anthology, whatever you want to call it. But I'm curious if there's enough storytelling, because we don't have Geralt and we don't have Yennefer and we don't have Ciri within this universe. And I'm sure these other characters are going to be great. But from the trailer, I didn't see any big actors that I recognized. I'm sure they are all there.
You didn't recognize the main? You didn't recognize the main? Or, I mean, have you watched a lot of like Asian kind of like, you know, fighting? Like, what is it? Hidden Crouching Tiger? Hidden something Crouching Tiger? Michelle Yeoh. She's the Asian woman who plays the elf. And obviously she's going to be bringing her like top tier martial arts skills and her
I
like
appreciate that for sure.
prowess. Yeah, prowess of acting, um, to being a sword elf, which, from what I understand, basically like the basic premise is we're getting a deeper look into the beginning of the continent. Like I think it's right at the conjunction of the spheres, like
I
just
was going
like
to ask you that. Is this origin story before the conjunction then? Is that kind of what the whole story's about? Or I guess we'll find out
it's
later,
either
but do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's like right after the conjunction. It might be right before, so we might see the conjunction happen, but I
I
don't
was
think
going
they're
to
going to
say
give
that'd
that
be a
to us.
hell of an event to hit
I
on
know.
if
I
they
don't
did
think they're
give
going to
us
give that to us, but I think it's right after the conjunction because basically we see a lot of the so the trio that we see in the trailer. It's three different elves. One of them is Michelle Yeoh, the sword elf, then the axe elf, and then the third one is I think a healer and an archer. Like she's a healer archer elf, but they represent I think different tribes. But it's like you beg the question, like why did three separate tribes of elves come together? Which that makes me think that yes, this is probably a good couple years inside of the conjunction where like humans like land is very
that's
chaotic, it's
turned
very
against the
volatile.
elves or whatever.
Yeah, and elves are being kind
Hunted.
of hunted, moved around. Like racism is prevalent, and a lot of that violence on that level is happening. So they're having to kind of go maybe on a journey to find other elves. I'm not quite sure what the journey, the epic is here.
I definitely need more information because based on that trailer, it looked cool. It intrigued me, but I
Hmm.
don't know how well it's going to perform for this type of forum. Because I mean, you're a big Walking Dead fan.
Oh,
When they did like a spin-off series for Fear the Walking Dead, do you watch that show, or
I
is that
I didn't because I wasn't
that's
interested
exactly what I'm talking about?
in
It's
it.
like
Even though Morgan, the one of the main characters within the Walking Dead original series, was there, but I just never got into that. But I did remember this. Blood Origins is going to lead up to the creation of the first Witcher. That's the that's not like
okay,
the
that's the draw.
main epic, but that's the draw. Yeah, is that it's
Okay,
going to lead up to the first Witcher. I really don't know how that's going to happen. It might diverge from the books, or it might keep to the folklore of the Witcher, like what we know, how Witchers were created. It might add on. It might completely diverge. I'm not sure, but it'll be exciting to see uh, like the demand being built up to why the Witchers were made. Because if you've
yeah,
watched like the Nightmare of the Wolf, the anime movie, clearly, even in the season one with Geralt's time, like the demand for the Witchers is quite low because monsters have been killed off of the continent to a large
right.
extent. But I'm guessing in Blood Origins we're going to get a lot more monsters. We're going to get a lot more like variable type of action and fighting style, and just much more
This
world
is
world building.
this is what I'm worried about, Rachel. Now, these are real world implications. Obviously, the core, the imagination, the universe, all probably going to be top tier. But I don't know what's going to happen with what's going on in the real world because this is a whole new show. There's an audience that's built up on The Witcher, but like you said, if there's going to be more action, more monsters, more this, more that, more money is going to have to go into the show. And I don't know if the audience is going to straight go to that. I personally am going to. I can say that definitively, but there's a certain portion of society that watched The Witcher because of the games or because of Henry Cavill,
Right.
and there's a disconnect there, and I just don't know. I
Yeah.
hope it doesn't
I
suffer and get
mean,
canceled after a season. That's all I'm
no,
worried
no,
about.
I totally agree with you. I hope that they emphasize the fact that this is leading up to The Witcher. Like connect with what people already know so that they know how to enjoy this Blood Origins. Because I think that's kind of the thing. It's not like just don't throw them into this world. We already experienced that in season one for people who weren't aware of the world of The Witcher. You're tossed into season one, you figured out the world, you got Nightmare of the Wolf, you have season two, but then Blood Origins is throwing you back. So I hope that maybe we get another teaser trailer or a little bit more like side bits of information that they throw out on social media that helps more people kind of get to know the direction and how to look at it.
This
And
is
that might
purely
entertain.
speculation. Probably not
Yeah.
something they're going to do, but do you think that this show would benefit from like a voiceover narration type of thing from a main character, like someone like Istrid? That might be a good idea because he's the historian
Oh,
where
if
he could be
they
telling these
I mean,
stories.
I love that. I love that idea. If they did do that, I feel like that would help a lot of people with, just consistency and being able to tie things together. I mean, I think that it sounds like a really cool, like if they had Easter because he's a, historian, that'd be
Yeah,
fascinating.
well, I'll accept
Maybe.
my check from Netflix whenever they
Great.
decide to go through with
Great.
my idea.
Yeah, but I think it's
Uh,
going to be great nonetheless. I do understand what you're saying, and I hope that maybe it'll bring more people on. Who knows?
yep.
Maybe because it's detached from The Witcher, maybe it'll just
That's
bring more
possible.
people.
All possible things. The
Yes.
trailer got me hyped. I am glad that it's coming. I'm glad that this show was so wonderful. We'll probably do at least one more episode, you and I together. Maybe we'll get Coach in there talking about just overall Witcher stuff. But that was the
Mhm.
end of season 2, and I had a great time podcasting. Rachel, do you have any final
Same.
thoughts on this whole marathon of podcasting we did for the show
I mean, I
or
know
just
that
the show?
the people I talked to about doing the podcast, which again, thank you so much for inviting me and having me on. I really
Of
enjoyed
course.
talking about this stuff. But I know that through the podcast and with season 2 being so, current and relevant right now, that The Witcher's gained a couple fans. It's gained a couple fans from people that I know, so it's exciting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's all I got. That's all I got for the end of the season. That's all I got for this episode. I really hope that the audience enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Thank you again, Rachel, for joining me. We will hear from Rachel at least on 1 or 2 more episodes before she leaves the country and never talks to me again. So,
No.
until then, though, thank you and have a good one.